All right. Well, hello, Lauren.
Howdy.
All right. So I thought I'd start with pulling us a card. If you guys go with that. No, you're not?
Okay.
This means yes and this means no.
Maybe.
This is maybe all around.
Yeah.
Oh, color. Which one flies out? These are new cards, so they're stuck together. It's the Mystic.
Oh, very.
Mystic Shaman Oracle. I love the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anybody's curious. Okay, there we go. There we go. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, there's more than one.
Uh-oh. How many did you get?
3.
You got 3. They flipped over.
Woo, okay. So we'll show them here. Here was the first one.
Cool.
Rainmaker.
The Rainmaker. You see the wings and...
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Look
the dance.
Oh, that's a sphere.
Yeah, there's a sphere over her head, and she's got like, looks like energy between her fingers. And this looks almost Native American, her outfit and the wings.
Yeah.
So it's like almost fairy, really, you know, kind of like.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Doing her, rain dance. Yeah.
That was the first one. The next one, and the number on that's 42 is the number on the card. If it matters. This is called the Rattle.
Very cool. Oh, I like that.
You got 42, 43.
Yeah, they're sticking, aren't they? Sticking together or
You need
something.
to mix them up on the floor.
Yeah, something. And then the next one is 44, and it's called the Sacrifice. Yeah, I love the colors on these cards.
Oh, those cards are stellar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of in a row, so.
I mix them up, but we were supposed to get those. So.
Yeah, because it doesn't always come out like that, because I've done the deck several times, and sometimes they come mixtures.
Well, that first one definitely resonated with me personally. I am part Native American, and when you made the comment about the energy between the hands, you know, I do Reiki and stuff, so I'm always feeling the energy in my hands. So that card definitely spoke to me quite a bit.
Yeah, I presume if you weren't feeling the energy, you wouldn't be doing Reiki.
Right. So she kind of makes me think of me right there. I mean, I love to dance and invoke a lot of positive energy, and I could definitely feel that in that card.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the rattle, you know, what comes to me is, you know, we're rattling old systems, rattling old beliefs, you know, shaking things up. That's what kind of came for me when I saw the rattle.
Yeah, well, also the rattle in the Native Americans used it in their dance to summon spirits. They actually were sound. It's the sound of the rattle.
Made me think of my gong.
Yeah, I was going to say, which Lauren does sound healing stuff too.
The gong, so it really feels right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the last one was the Sacrifice.
Sacrificing the old for the new.
Yeah, because look, she has a butterfly.
Yep. Which butterflies are obviously a symbol of change.
Yep.
And they have to sacrifice their old caterpillar body in order to become a beautiful caterpillar. So that's because I don't see that sacrifice like our old program Sacrifice. I don't feel that energy with that card.
No, it definitely seems very positive and very more physical than anything. So, yeah, I like those a lot. They're gorgeous.
All right, so we'll put them over here and see what see if they speak to us.
What was the bottom card?
The bottom card was Sweat Lodge.
Huh, well, that goes right along with it.
Yeah, this was the bottom card.
Oh, cool.
Sweat Lodge. Oh, look in the sky.
Cool.
What kind of bird is that?
And then the walking into, like, you know, a new place, walking into a place they've never been, new journey.
Yeah.
It's like a silhouette of an eagle.
Yeah, because it's walking through a doorway.
Yeah.
A threshold. A portal, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I need that deck. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
A lot of energy in it for sure.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Awesome.
You ready for the part of the list items?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one on the list is answering the questions isn't as important as questioning the answers. Answers close the questions while questions open the answers.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel that. Well, we've talked in the past about cul-de-sacing. You know, when you have an answer, you kind of go, here it is.
Yeah, someone asks you a question and you provide an answer and they accept that answer, then they've just closed out that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I've always been a very radical person since I was a kid. I worked in politics in college quite a bit. So people ask you questions and you'll get an answer, but a lot of times I'm always the one to really question the answers that are given. So, and really sit and meditate on that. So I really like that. That's really interesting because I know from personal experience, I never say someone's answer is wrong, but I'm always questioning and going back and reevaluating their thought process and my personal thought process with all of that to see if their answer truly is a good answer or not. So,
yeah,
because with that too, I think we come to answers out of our experience or what we think we know or what we know about this, and so we'll think we have a really good answer to it.
Yeah.
But we don't even know the possibilities that are out there because we've experienced this much of a whole universe.
Yeah. Well, what are you focusing on right now?
The answer.
Yeah.
Instead of asking questions about the answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, answering the questions isn't as important as questioning
the
answers.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, like I was saying, it's like just sitting back and meditating on the question to see if it's truly, or the answer, to see if their answers are really the answer, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I like that. Yeah. That's definitely me. That's definitely hitting with me.
Got your signature on it.
Yeah.
The next one is your questions will eventually lead back to you if you follow the path of your questions.
That's meditation. I mean, that's coming back to listening to yourself and sitting quietly and waiting for the life to reflect out to you, back to you, the answers you're seeking. You know, that's meditation all in itself.
So the question will eventually, because of the types of questions you're asking, show something about your awareness and your.
Yeah, answers provide an end to questioning, like I said.
Right.
But questioning provide the start to you.
It's the journey.
Okay. Yeah.
So the emphasis is not on answers. The emphasis is on questions. What is the path that your questions are lighting up? The path of your questions. The questions produce a trajectory, and that path is your path.
Well, that makes sense.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting. So you'll see by some of this, the more of this, it's leading to that. External answers are but temporary closures as you dig open the vault to deeper questions.
Yeah, so see if reflections to the questions responded back are just the start of their journey, the awareness you're starting to get.
Well, any external questions and answers you get, external answers are but temporary closures. Remember, if you get an answer to a question, you've closed out that question. So, but external answers, someone providing you an answer to a question, is a temporary closure.
Yes.
It's just a temporary closure as you dig open more questions.
Yeah, I'm pulling into that because there's more in that. It's
well, it's that mirror, right? Everything's a reflection. So when you get the answer from the outside world, it's giving you that temporary answer so you can start going inside yourself for the journey.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. And so it's temporary, because once you have a partial, you get just a part. And then you go and you meditate and you sit and you think if that's really what your beliefs, your path is, who you are, what pre-programs you're still relating to. That's all that is right there, you know?
Yeah, and we go in to dig deeper questions, not find deeper answers. Yeah. It's like you're finding deeper questions, things that you're,
Right, because it's not the answers. If you're looking for answers, you're going to find dead ends.
Yeah,
it's a continuous journey.
Yeah,
it's always going. In order to be young, it's always going back and asking and learning and revisiting our past programs. So
yeah, and it's you. Your questions are really for you. We use each other to help kind of scratch the surface, but to expect someone else to provide you your answers is kind of ludicrous. I mean, when you really think about it.
Yeah.
How would they know what you know and where you're at and where you came from and what your mission is? And
well, to be honest, I mean, if you think about it, I'm a life coach, and people come to me for some sort of direction. So I wouldn't say that they're giving you answers. I would say that they're giving you direction and guidance, and the universe is always giving you direction and guidance. And that's more how I would see the situation. Not that they're giving you an answer, but that they're giving you help, because you're reflecting that back. You're asking, and the reflection is coming to you, and now you have the chance to ponder what you're asking. I know with my clients, I don't have the answers, but I ask them, I give them ideas, or I give them questions to ponder, to take into meditation, to thought, everyday thought, that then helps them start establishing their ideals that they're looking for out of their life.
Yeah, I think go along with that. I think your higher self puts people in your path that will
guide
or provide obstacles to do whatever needs to be done to
align you with your path.
Exactly.
And I guess what's coming for me is like, for years I've heard, are we looking for answers when we should be looking for better questions? But we've let pressures of life or expediency or time just say, okay, we got the answer, let's move on to the next thing that we need to work on, versus really sitting in that answer and questioning it and digging deeper around it. Because those are the Band-Aids. To me, that's what's coming through. Your temporary answers are your Band-Aids, versus really digging in and figuring out what it is, questioning what it is.
Yeah.
These are great.
Feel into the.
Yeah, that's what I said. The emphasis should not be on answering questions. It should be on questioning the answers. More emphasis on questioning than on answering.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The next one is, in answering your questions, you must search for yourself.
Yes. Yeah, talks to the one previous. Yeah.
Yeah. The art of meditation. Yeah, my favorite.
Because, I mean, the questioner matters. The questioner that's posing the question.
Everything you need is within you, right? Everything you need, all the answers are within you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
But the search for yourself. But, I mean, obviously it could be taken, you must search for yourself, and you must search for yourself.
It kind of harkens back to one of the ones we talked about with me the other day. I can't remember how it was phrased, but it was that bring that into your search, inside your search for you. Well, how was it worded? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
So the other day we were talking about the ones you got.
For you?
Yeah, for me. And it was bring something inside the search for you. That's what it made me think of, is that one. I'm trying to remember how it was worded.
Well, and being all you need needs to be enough. Being enough for yourself before other people are enough or added to you is important. So that really goes back to, you are enough to answer all your questions. You should always be confiding in yourself. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always tell people, my students, I'm like, you got to be your own cheerleader. You've got to be your own lover. You've got to be your own hard ass. You've got to be everything you need.
Do you remember what I'm talking about, or did I
that
dream
was
there?
No, that was in another list. I think you're talking
Maybe
about.
Don't worry about it, because it was about that. Bring that search. It was the play on words of bring the search inside for you, or bring the search inside for you.
I found more from not looking than I ever did find from looking. Bringing the
awareness. Yeah.
Bringing the calmness of not looking inside the search for you.
Yeah, so that's what my mind was looking.
Yeah, that wasn't for you. That was for.
Okay, yeah, Jenny's. Yeah. I found more from not looking than I ever did find from looking. Bringing the calmness of not looking inside the search for you. And I think oftentimes it's kind of what we're looking for. Are we looking for answers? Are we looking questions,
Well, it's the trust and believe, right? Trust and believe that whatever is meant to happen is going to happen for your greatest good. So there's really no point in searching, because whatever is meant to happen is going to happen. Mm-hmm. So it's sitting back and trusting, believe that the best for you is always coming to you. It's definitely what I would get from it.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between running, being the driver and the person who actually gives the tour, for like a safari tour, mm-hmm. and a person sitting on the rock, mm-hmm. sitting on, there's a difference between those two. The one driving feels like they have to provide answers to all the questions, mm-hmm. where the ones actually on for the ride are kind of, put in a position where they should be asking questions. That's all they should be doing, is not answering, but providing questions.
That links to, we're not the brains of this. We're along for the ride, in a way, is what I'm feeling with our higher self. And so if we're the question asker, our answers come from inside and from our connection. So we're along for the ride in this life. Is that the kind of connection? That's what came to me as you were saying that.
I don't know why you're putting it on me.
Oh, no, I'm just
I mean, you know how I feel. I always said I'm not the brains of the outfit. Mm-hmm. The brains is the higher self. And I've also said that if I treat this current life like I'm on an amusement ride, mm-hmm. but I'm not the guy down on the ground pushing the button for it to go. And so I'm not driving. I'm actually riding the roller coaster. I can either be completely crazed out of my mind, mm-hmm. that someone else is driving, or I can enjoy the ride and have fun. Mm-hmm. It's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
And that fits with what you were saying, Lauren, too, about the, inside, the hearing the answers inside. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is becoming the true you means ending the answers of others inside you. And that is where the fear mm-hmm. resides.
Mm-hmm. I deal with that a lot with my life coaching clients. I've been a very radical human being my whole life, and not scared to stand up for the things I believe in and the people I believe in. And so, with that comes a ability to detach from caring about what other people think about me and my perception of things, and trusting and believing in myself to make the right decisions and to project the right things out to other people and help educate people in the right ways. So with a lot of my clients, a lot of them are still fear-based individuals who are scared to be their true selves because they're scared of what the world has to say about who they are. Where me, I don't have that fear at all, you know. And so that's definitely something I get from that question right there.
Yeah, the emphasis is the answers of others inside you.
Mm-hmm.
We're full of other people's answers inside us. From the time you were born, other people were putting answers inside you.
Yes.
Programming, yeah.
So now every one of us have answers inside us that are not our own.
Yes. That's the pre-programming, you know, the whole pre-programming from a childhood up. And most people still deal with it, and then we have our consciously awakened people who are breaking those molds every day. Like I said, I've been that kind of radical person since I was a kid. No one could tell me there was a man in the sky floating around and I was going to believe it. You know, my parents had the hardest time with me when I was a kid. They're like, get baptized, and I'm like, no, you're crazy if you think I'm going to do that. And so at a very young age, I was like, I would reject those pre-programmings that people try to project onto me.
I can imagine your teachers in school going, oh, crap, Lauren has her hand up again for a question.
Yeah, in college, writing papers in college, my professors were always kind of jaw-dropped for my responses because they were very opinionated, very open and honest, and they were good perspectives, you know? And I've calmed down my analytical mind, but it's still very analytical. So I can see multiple possibilities and predict outcomes, you know, like that. So whenever I write, you know, I pick the best outcome, the best situation, the best possibility. And as long as it aligns with my thought process, you know, that's what I wrote about. But that was definitely interesting growing up and being mentally different from people. And standing up for things that I personally believed in instead of believing things that everybody else told me to believe in.
Yeah, because that's an element of what we've talked about with sovereignty, and it's like, how do you hold yourself in that? Sounds like you didn't have to break out of it; you just never left it. Kind of is what you're saying from the time you were young. Yeah,
I've always had big balls. Always had big balls, so to say. You know, like. Not scared to like do my thing, and you know, my parents still to today, like I'm a challenge because I just don't fit a mold. I fit whatever is good for me, you know. And more people need that, you know, and more people need to stand up for themselves and their own personal thoughts and beliefs because most likely it's right.
Mm-hmm. That's right for them, at least, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter what path you take. Because we're all in the same, right? We're all going the same way. It doesn't matter which path you're taking. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't matter what you believe as long as it's what's best for you, you know, and it's not harmful to others, of course. So,
yeah. The next one is the view outside you shows inside what answers that bind you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, because if you're looking out and you're not seeing something that you're not enjoy about what you're seeing, then it's an indicator inside of those answers from others that are still managing something inside. Yeah.
Something out there isn't with what you want or wish.
Mm-hmm.
It's something inside you that was put there that is now binding you and keeping you from that thing you want outside there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Way to unbind it, question it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I agree with both of those.
Yeah, instead of complain about it and fight against it and have all kinds of drama outside yourself, is go question inside yourself.
But that right there, the way you go about dealing with life, your attitude says a lot about you.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you have a friend that you know, no matter what comes up, they're going to whine. Well, you pretty much know where they stand on things.
Yeah.
They don't want anything out of the normal. They want everything to go according to what their expectation was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. Expectation. Right.
That's
right. Inability to change with when things need to change and be flexible in our lifestyles.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one is, while you stumble and search for happiness outside you, your true self feeds you questions leading inside you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like an invitation, and do we take the invitation to go inside and meditate and find the answers and recreate ourselves, or do we hold on to those others' beliefs that are inside of us, and it makes us fearful to go inside and figure out?
And I like what you said, recreate yourself. You can recreate yourself your whole entire life any point you want to. You can wake up tomorrow and say, I want to have a more positive mindset, and shift your whole entire life to that positive mindset. And so, I'm constantly recreating myself between all my certifications and stuff. I'm constantly learning and recreating. I'm constantly growing. And people have to be more willing to recreate and step up for themselves and find that happiness in the things that make them happy, We know inside what makes us feel good and makes us happy. The sunshine, laughter, playing our drums, our instruments, doing our singing bowls, hanging out with our friends. But we don't take that out into the world either, and you have to be willing to, whatever feels good in here, take it and express it and show it to other people. And the more people you show it to, the more people are going to respect and resonate with it. And then you've got yourself a little tribe right there.
Yeah, because if the world, if it's not out there already, if you're waiting for it to already be out there, but until for you to show yours, then are you really affecting change? Because it's already out there. So right now we're at the cusp of things are coming out there and starting to interact with the world in different ways. And the more we find ourselves and move away all those old programs, the more we'll carry that voice and those tools and those gifts out into the planet and make a better place out here, because we're making a better place in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I like that. That's a good one.
I find it interesting that both of you are focused outside with your answers.
Yeah.
You're focused on the impact of others and bringing others the new you and sharing outside of you when this has all been leaving me inside. So to me, to have the biggest impact out there is to have the biggest impact in here and not worry about out there at all. Because if you're worried about that, then you're actually putting a constraint on your search inside. You're also putting pressure that that's part of the journeying, is actually going back outside and joining up with other people. I'm not saying it can't be a next step, but to me, that's as you become sovereign, you can be the true you. Because if you aren't sovereign, then you're actually responding to the answers of others that it's instilled inside you.
Yes.
So who are you acting for? Who are you happy for? Who are you conversing with others for? Someone else's programming inside you.
Yeah.
So until we get all that programming inside us, out of us, are we really acting as ourselves? Are we actually engaging others as ourselves?
As our pure self? No.
Right. So we're not only are we responding and reacting to someone else pulling on our puppet strings, but we're also then engaging others and exposing them to it too.
Yeah.
It's a different perspective. It doesn't mean stop engaging with people, but to me, it makes me go, hey, instead of arguing amongst ourselves or being distracted, why don't we pull our resources and know that we all are coming at this from a different angle and a different perspective, and just throw ideas out on the table. No idea is bad. It just let's not try to poke holes in it. Let's try to use it as a sail on the sea and try to take it somewhere and see what direction the wind gives it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and there has to be a certain, like you're saying, certain level of inside work in order to even put your thoughts out there.
Yeah.
If they're different than the collective, or what's perceived to be the collective thought that's out there.
Well, yeah, that, to me, this whole thing about questions and answers implies that you are at least minimally awake, and you know something's not right. Don't know exactly what it is or all the things that make it not right, but you know something about what you've been taught up to this point from the time you were a child doesn't sit well anymore. And it's prompting questions. It's prompting you to start rattling.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Rattling.
I mean, to me, I think it's actually bringing you to your sweat lodge.
And you have to turn away from some things, or
you're going to have to sacrifice. Yourself. You're going to have to sacrifice your old life, parts of your old life, and seek the Rainmaker.
Yeah, and then you will be. When you sacrifice and you go in your cocoon, to me, this is like what the caterpillar does, and then emerges as the butterfly. That's the sweat lodge kind of thing for people. Yeah,
I'm saying that's.
Yep.
To me, once you start questioning the narrative, then you enter your sweat lodge.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Why do you? Yeah. Why do you go into sweat lodges?
Yeah. To burn away and release and receive. It's like the womb, right? So it's like the void. It's like the, focused on releasing and receiving, not from what's in the outside world. All your senses are kind of like isolated to that. In that one cocoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a point, though, that we must, in order to further the path towards sovereignty, take responsibility for your own journey.
Absolutely. Can't always rely on other people. You have to rely on yourself.
That's what the whole thing about is not relying on anyone other than yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is taking responsibility for your journey and for your questions and your answers.
No, I agree with that. I've spent my whole life pretty much independent, my whole family and everything. So I'm definitely a very independent person. That's why I'm so radical with thinking and stuff. But the only person I ever relied on and still try to rely on is always myself, So it's very important that, again, you're your own cheerleader, your own teacher, you're everything. You are everything. You are all you ever need. Everything else is just a plus, a little bonus here, a check on the checklist. So.
Yeah, a bonus, or we've said it before, a tool for each other. But yeah, I was thinking because she's been there by herself.
Well, that's the whole thing, is your journey to sovereignty is your journey. It's no one else's. They have their own journey. And no one else can walk through that portal but you. It's personally made for you by you.
Yep. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And if you were to go through with someone else or depend on someone else, you just have a dependency.
Mm-hmm.
If there was one person that provided you all the answers you ever needed, wouldn't that person really become part of you?
Yeah, it would mold you.
Yeah. And if it was outside of you, though, then that fosters, what if the fear of losing that person or not being, so if it's inside of you, it takes care of all of that insecurity around anything inside of you.
Well, that's the ultimate what we're trying to do is be that person that answers all your questions. And then thereby you're not dependent or attached to anyone other than yourself.
Absolutely.
Because if you are, then like you said, are they going to be with you for all your lives?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Doubt it.
Right.
Plus, I don't think that's why the creator, the source, created each one of us is to be attached to other people. It's for each of us to stand on our own.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because our connection to others is not through the external and then attaching. The connection is through the internal. You feel more connected with others when you are more clear and understanding of yourself than you do when you're trying to connect to others that are outside of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The collective, I guess.
I don't know. I question connections right now just because we're on a sovereignty trip.
Mm.
And so I see it as being appreciative of others. And me personally, my perspective is not wanting to slant it towards a connection. The difference being that just appreciating someone means there's no attachment.
Yes.
But I think right now we're susceptible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I told her we're every one of us on this planet. I mean, basically, this planet is full of addicts.
Yes.
We're all mind addicts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really no one to blame. We actually created it. We then dove into it, and now we're trying to make our way out of it.
Yeah.
It's our own crucible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yeah.
What flashed in my head was like the magicians that used to lock and they chain and tie their hands together and lock it and they put them in this box so that they could then like come out of the box. And that's what the image came up when you were saying that. We knew what it was. We put ourselves in here. We knew what, and now we're working through those
Locks and chains.
So we can be free of it.
Yeah.
No?
No, the only I guess I'm taking it a little too literal. To me, the magicians that we've watched, they had tricks. So they practiced, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they went to do it in front of a crowd, it was the same person inside the box or inside the water or whatever, and they had little tricks to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we outside put this together, okay, then we dove in and became something different than what we were before we started.
Okay.
And now we don't know all the secrets of getting out. We wiped our own memories so that it wouldn't be easy.
Mm-hmm.
The whole telling or the finish line is not the ultimate goal here. It's in the story we use to get to the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is what Source is most interested in.
Yeah. But we did leave ourselves breadcrumbs and hints, you know, it's in the synchronicities and the conversations and stuff. So I think we left ourselves little bits and pieces to connect with, but we only left ourselves little bits so that way we could do the inner work to really know what it is that we're looking for, what we're here for, what we're doing, what we want. You know?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that we have guides along the way. Our higher self being the main one, and it doesn't. It's not going to do it all for you. That would be the magician. This is the difference between this is your higher self is not trying to get you out of this as quickly as possible. Your higher self is actually trying to get you to work through each obstacle so that each obstacle actually gives you some learning. So that by the time you get to the finish line, you've maximized the learning you could do.
Yeah.
Not maximize the speed to which you got to the finish line.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
I always tell people, you know, we're that snake eating its tail, right? We're always eating our tail until we learn the lesson. Once we learn the lesson on this floor, we spiral up the staircase to our next lesson where we start eating our tail again. And that's when our vibrational shifts start to happen, is when we learn that lesson. We start to feel the vibrational shifts going up that spiral staircase when we hit our next plateau, our next learning point. We learn from it, or we keep getting slapped in the face until we learn from it. And then we go back up the spiral staircase, you know, making our conscious and our vibrational shift. And then we hit our next platform and plateau, and then we build up.
Yeah, she kind of what we've talked about in the past. We're all loopy.
Yes.
We're loopy. We're all loopy until we get it, and then we jump up another level and we become loopy again until we get it, and then we jump up a level and then we start looping again.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That is definitely the course of you know, of the cycle. You know, I see it. I don't, you know, my vibrational shift is pretty high, but I still have my plateaus. You know, they're not as low as some people, but they're definitely still plateaus. And you know, I know when my energy, I've learned my lesson, because then I'm nauseated, I'm lightheaded, I'm vibrating like crazy amounts, you know, the synchronicities and numbers and in time and in space, all that, you know. So, I mean, it's a continuing pattern for the rest of our lives. We'll never learn everything we need to know, but we'll learn as much as we need to know for this life cycle.
Yeah. We're spiraling and then looping, spiraling and looping, spiraling and looping. And what we're creating is our own wormhole.
Our own vortex.
Yeah. So we're not really discovering new information. We have all the information we ever needed. What we're doing, though, is we're
relearning.
We are, but I mean, actually, we're uncovering the learning based on the reality that we're currently trying to live in. What fits this reality? Each reality that we live in requires a different set of information that we need to get through it.
Yeah.
What good is all the information if you have it all the time and the same life, you're in the same life constantly? You have all the
you get bored, you get depressed, you get down. There are definitely times where, like, I sit at a level too long, I vibrate too high too long, and life is boring when you're vibrating high all the time. I mean, you would think it would be great 24/7 to vibrate super high and life to be good, but you need to be going through those lessons all the time to keep life fresh, to keep your mindset fresh, to keep your energy fresh. So, like, it's definitely important to not know all these answers, because if you do, there's no point to you even existing.
And that's when I get the feeling of, and what's coming for me is that's when we up-level our questions. When we start to get bored with where we're vibrating at, we up-level our questions. We ask a, higher level question that kind of breaks us into that next one. or else we can go live out lessons within that, those levels that we're already familiar with.
Well, like I said on this item, external answers are but temporary closures as you dig open the vault to deeper questions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically you get temporary answers, and then hopefully they springboard you into deeper questions. You're not looking for them out there; they're inside you. So you're going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, no one pushes you along. You can get off the ride anytime you want, and you're basically then, if you're not willing to question anymore, then you're basically relegating yourself to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And only the things that come from that level, that level of excitement, that level of competition, that level of challenge, that level of love, that level of sadness.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking about your vision you had the other day of the vortex and the petals, you said, and when you were talking about the looping and the spiraling and the looping and the spiraling, what came to me was the image that you had described about the vortex and the petals around it. So
what does that tell them?
Yeah, it looks like it's a never-ending, a never-ending evolution. So if you're looping and you're looping and you're looping and you're looping, the questions will get you out of that looping into the spiral.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like you're like cycling around the same information or cycling around the same experiences, questions will help you get to the next layer. So is it questions about your 3D, your body, or are you thinking about questions about the greater, the way the energy works? Or are you thinking about questions about the, it's like what level are your questions are how you're going to move up that spiral? Does that make sense?
No, it seems like a 3D, 4D answer. It's you're telling someone how to ask questions. To me, it's the process of asking questions instead of putting the emphasis on answers. That's what this whole thing is about. So it's not about providing answers or actually getting answers. It's about fine-tuning your questioning.
Well, just like you said, it's about the journey and not the destination.
Right.
So that's what it is. It's not about the answer, which is the destination. It's about the questions, which is the journey.
And I think right now, with all these energies coming in, I think it's time on this planet that no one can stagnate.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean everyone's going to go into great questioning. A lot of people, since everyone's energy is getting
higher,
activated, there's a lot of people that are acting out. They don't know why. All I know is status quo isn't going to be accepted anymore. So some people are going to go deeper with questions, but a lot of people are just going to start knocking furniture over and being uncomfortable and trying to make other people uncomfortable because they don't know what else to do.
Absolutely. But the thing is, I tell it with my Reiki clients, as I do the energetic work on myself, I can see the shifts in the people that I have been in contact with, right? So at some point, the people who you haven't met but are going through a lot of crazy stuff, they've met somebody within your circle. It could be like the great Aunt Millis from 14 centuries over, but it's still trickling down the line energetically, right? I always tell people, like, my parents weren't very receptive towards the things that I was doing when I was the things that I do now. They thought was crazy for a very long time, right? But the more I've done the work, the more I'm seeing it resonate down the chords to them and becoming more accepted. So the more we keep raising ourselves, these people are also going to rise too, because the energy is going to draw them into it, right? So it's all about personal work, because the personal work always helps a greater good. Whether we see it right now or in 10 years, the vibrational shifts we make now are affecting every single person within our spirit and outside of our spirit.
It's like what you said when you went home to West Virginia and the change you noticed.
Yeah, because I mean, years ago, there would be, if I used essential oils and stuff like that, nobody really knew what it was or why are you using that, or
they would have looked at you funny.
Well, yeah, and or said, okay, well, that's just the thing you're doing. But when I went back home for Christmas last year, I was noticing not just my immediate like family members, but in the stores and people talking about, essential oils and products that were there that weren't there previously. It was like somebody just peeled back a layer, and there was a whole new experience with that. And it was,
you are the vibrational seed. You are the vibrational seed that was planted.
Yeah.
And
so
how
it's very interesting.
But the emphasis is that it seemed like let's say the normal conscious level of let's say the core of the populace all of a sudden bumped up a level all on its own, and it was amazing because you never would have thought that you would hear country bumpkin, I'm one, but a country bumpkin talking about essential oils.
Yeah, and it was like just in a matter of like months. And that's why I said it was like you peel back another old thing and you were like looking at something completely fresh and new that had complete different mixtures of things. Exactly. It was another level. Different conversations were going on. It's fun. I mean, it happens every day with people too. As you learn something, then somebody asks you something about it, after you've just had some awakening of it inside yourself.
happens a lot.
Think about your students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think the consciousness level of all of humanity is rising up.
Mm-hmm.
We keep reading and watching videos and whatnot, and people keep saying, "Well, people are sheep, and they're just not." The thing is though, how if that's so, then how did Donald Trump win the election?
He was pre-selected by the small-minded masses way before we even had an idea about what was going on. But I can't get into politics right now. But those things are like pre-programmed. He was pre-programmed into being a president. They know presidents before presidents who they want to line up. When I worked for Ron Paul in 2012, I knew Paul wasn't going to win. He wasn't selected to win. He wasn't pre-programmed into it. And that's definitely one of the truths.
Yeah, I would agree with you on past ones, but on this one, I think this is a little, he's pre-programmed, but different forces.
Yeah, why do the media hate him so much? That's the telling thing right now. The Democrats and the media hate him so much that it says, wait a minute, we must not be following the same protocol that had been following for all the previous elections.
Right.
So I don't want to get into politics either, but I'm not a Trump fan, or I'm not Republican or Democrat. I know that we haven't had a real vote in this country ever.
Ever. I won't even ever.
And I think the only way to get there is what we've been talking about. Questioning the narrative, anyone's narrative, but mainly questioning what you think you already believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Always, in all ways, everything.
Yep.
It takes a radical, willing to really, it takes the whole collective consciousness to be radical and be willing to stand up in their beliefs to say, we're not standing for this anymore. And that's not anytime soon. It might not even be in my time. I would hope so, because I've always said I'd be president of the United States someday. But it's definitely one of those things where, we are coming up as a collective, which is why you see that people don't like Trump. But like I said, there are still those old school people who are still running politics who can't get kicked out because the rules and regulations that they designed for themselves. And so they're still running us, and it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort to get them out.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Yep, it is. Yeah. You're good. Looks like you're on your way somewhere. So, okay. You have anything else to add before we close out?
That was great conversation. Very exciting to sit with you guys, and I hope to do it again.
Okay, hold on just a moment. I'm going to stop the conversation.